moments of my life. I'm getting that vaccine shot on Sunday, so that's
Nice.
pretty cool.
Very nice.
So-
I think that's a good thing. I obviously want to get the vaccine. I'm super hesitant because I am worried that they rushed it, you know?
Mhm.
But on the other hand, I haven't heard any bad stories yet. So it's
Yes.
like a 50-50.
My friend's a nurse, and he got both doses, and he seems fine. And if I didn't talk to him about it, I definitely would be more like, please, I don't want anything bad to happen to me. I'm gonna wait it out. But yeah, I mean, I'll be your guinea pig for you. Let me try out this vaccine, this so-called vaccine for you.
Absolutely. Well, no, I mean, I totally believe in vaccines. I'm obviously an avid believer in science. Like, that's a big thing for me. It's just one of those things where it's like, you know, when a vaccine comes out this early, it's always a little bit like,
Yeah.
how many trials did you do?
Well, I heard a rumor that the vaccine is made out of fecal matter. So honestly, you know, who knows what it is? I'm joking.
Well, honestly, fecal, I would say that doesn't really concern me too much because fecal matter is actually really important in like trials and stuff like that. Like, it's one of the best ways of determining like how unhealthy you are and a bunch of other shit too.
Yeah, but I don't injecting fecal
You don't want to
matter has
inject
never
poop directly into you.
has never been a cure in the history of anything. You know what? I think it's time to start the show on that note. Hello, everyone.
Absolutely.
And welcome to Pop Culture Party People.
Pop Culture Party People. Hello. How is everyone doing today?
We are your humble hosts. I'm Warren Chow.
I'm Dillon Burtzel.
We were so happy to have you with us today in the new year. And I think we have some interesting things to talk about today. We didn't necessarily leave the last episode with the recommendations that we're going to watch today. Dillon, do you want to tell people what we're talking about today?
I mean, I absolutely want to talk about what we're going to be talking about today, but I also think we should talk about what's been in the news recently because Jesus Christ, a lot of stuff has happened since the last time we recorded the podcast.
Yeah, the world,
insurrection,
our country kind of
reached
its climax. I mean, where to even begin? I'm just glad that the son of a bitch got impeached twice now. So, and
yeah, so nice they named it twice.
Yeah,
yeah, dude. No, it's kind of fucking nuts because when the attacks happened on the 6th, I was like, I reached out to you, I reached out to a bunch of people, and I was just like, yo, are you watching the fucking news right now? This shit is insane. It is terrifying.
And it was very terrifying.
I legitimately thought it was going to be much worse than it was. Like,
and that's just the kind of the sign of the opposition, you know, like they seem like this insurrection. They seem like this terrorist group was going to come in and really make their voices heard. But then they just stood around. They just became like a pestering mob. I didn't know what the fuck to do. They just started stealing things, hanging on things, just loitering. And it's like, you guys have no direction. You have absolutely no idea what you're trying to do. That once you got in Capitol Hill, you just you took selfies and didn't know what the fuck to do. Like, you had no plan of action at all.
That's like the comforting thing, right? It was like, I was like, oh shit, these dudes are going to burn the fucking Capitol to the ground. And then it's like, oh, no.
No, these dudes just wanted to tailgate.
Yep, basically. These dudes were like, kind of the same thing that happened with Occupy Wall Street, right? Like, at least that one had a little bit more forethought. But once again, if you guys don't have a plan, it's not going to go very well. It's just, you got to think further than just we attack the building. I'm glad they didn't have a plan, though. Fuck those dudes, especially all the people wearing like the Camp Auschwitz shirts and all of that shit. Like, fucking God. No. But luckily, even though Trump is going to be out in I think 6 days, 7 days, maybe 5 days. Impeach that motherfucker. I don't want him to have all of the benefits that come with being a previous president. Like, I don't want him to have the access to the Secret Service. I don't want him to get that yearly stipend of money or travel.
No.
That.
No,
and
no,
the
no.
biggest
None of
thing,
that
of course,
pension. Fuck him. Don't give him anything.
Yeah. And the biggest thing, of course, he can't run again if we
Yes.
impeach him.
Yes. Let's just
So-
honestly, let's just forget these 4 years ever happened in the larger history of things. Let's truly just scorch the end of this. We've lanced this terrible boil that was going on in this country, and let's move forward now. Holy shit.
Yeah, absolutely. You remember your Jinko jeans phase? You forget it. You remember that it happened, so it never happens again.
Yes.
But you never go back.
But if history repeats itself, you stop it before it becomes fashionable. You say, no.
No. I don't know why I said that. I love Jinko jeans. They were very comfortable. I liked the patches.
No, you didn't.
Oh,
I'm going to
no.
step in and say, no, you did not. They were awful.
Fascism.
Think of how terribly the cuffs always got scuffed. They were ruined themselves because they were too baggy and drag on the ground.
That's true. They would get so dirty so quickly. Ugh. You're the voice of reason, Warren. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Glad to be part of this generation.
But yeah, it's crazy to think that first week of 2021, that was let's start this off with a bang. Let's do it. But besides that, I think everything has been relatively calm. And yes, now let us talk about what we're going to be going over for this past episode, seeing as we didn't give our recommendations from last time. We're doing a full block of Asian media today. We've got something from Japan, something from Korea, and something from Taiwan.
From China. From Taiwan.
Taiwan, actually.
Kung Fu Kids is a Taiwan flick.
Oh, dude, I learned so much about this movie because I fell in love with it. I couldn't love it more. Oh, my God. But I want to save it for the end because I've got so much to say about it. So I think what we're going to do is start off with the last thing I just watched was Alice in Borderland. That was literally what I was watching right before we started recording. So let's get into it. That was your suggestion to me. Why don't you tell the people about Alice in Borderland, Warren?
Yeah, so I suggested Alice in Borderland on Netflix to Dillon. I feel it falls in line with our mutual love for the show Gantz, the show/manga Gantz. Essentially, the plot of Alice in Borderland is three unsuspecting citizens of Japan suddenly find themselves in an alternate version of Japan where they have to play games to survive. In the games themselves, they're trying to kill them, and if they survive the game, they have more days to live. There's a counter that is watching how many days are around. There's satellites in the sky that pierce your head if you are to cheat the game, run away from the game, or lose the game. And it's kind of a psychological thriller of you versus your friends at times, you versus society, and it's only been out for one season. Dillon, what did you think?
You're right. I got some serious Gantz vibes on this show. Talk about a show that was wearing its heart on its sleeve when it took the source material. Short of the aliens and stuff that they fight, I mean, it's basically a carbon copy to a certain degree.
Yes.
It's pretty nuts. But that's not a bad thing. I think Gantz has one of the more interesting premises in manga. I love the idea of this. It's Tokyo, but it's not Tokyo. You're playing this game. You have no idea who's controlling this game, this larger force that you'll eventually, find out and discover what it is. I only got to watch the first episode, and I would say there are definitely some things that I really like and some things that are a little questionable for me so far. The first thing that I really liked is I do think that the interplay between the three main characters is really good.
Yes.
I think they do a really good job of that. I think what were we gonna say?
I just burped and said, excuse me.
Oh, go on.
Continue.
I think that the first game they played with the doors is a nice little taster of what's to come, right? A little tease, just a little on the lip. Just give it a little touch.
Yeah, how much of this psychological genius does there need to be in this show? Oh, a decent amount.
Yeah, apparently quite a good bit. And then I like the Gantz type setting. I think some of the other stuff I was more concerned about, and this always happens with most Japanese media I consume that's not manga or anime.
Okay.
Is just they overact too much.
They love
And it can
caricatures.
Yeah,
They love
it can
it.
be very distracting. like their level of emotion is so strange because like obviously as a society they're not very good with their emotions in general.
Right.
So when they're acting, they're like, I have to do this over 9,000. And
Right.
it's like, no,
Right.
no, you don't.
You can
It's
be
very
a
weird.
level human. You can find that happy medium. At the same time, though, that kind of is what I love about watching Japanese shows. It's kind of what to predict about it. That's kind of like it's like the horror genre in an entire country. You know, they're like, this is what to expect. You have your gangster guy, you have your nerdy guy, you have your company man. What are they gonna do? You have your sexy chick, you have your nerdy chick, you have your psychological chick. You know, it's like very formulaic, and it's like what people find in The Office that's very comforting. Shows like this, I'm like, okay, I don't know the mystery behind it all, but I know these characters, and it's going to be funny to see them in these situations they can or cannot handle.
I know these characters back to front because I've seen them 1,000
Yes.
times before.
Yes,
Because
there's
Japan
nothing
only
new.
has like 8 archetypes
Yes.
and they can only be used.
Yes, and they love making the computer nerd the hero, the recluse who is playing video games all the time and can't get a home.
He is
or only
gorgeous,
stays at
by the
home.
way.
The whole cast is gorgeous. Just you wait, man. It's an interesting question after we talk about the next show, Sweet Home, who has a more attractive cast, because both shows are just gorgeous, utterly just so attractive.
The thing that hit me was the guy playing the recluse in in this show is stunning. That dude
Yes.
looks so good. And
Yes.
he's supposed to be this ugly, unabashed loner who doesn't ever get that dude would be getting laid.
But
all
he's
the time.
autistic. He's obviously on the spectrum, so he'd rather just play games all the time, and then he can just he can be the Da Vinci Code, cracking things and figuring these games out. I think you should give it a chance and watch all of it. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised where it goes and how it ends, leading to the next season.
I definitely like it enough to keep going with it for sure.
Okay.
Like I think
Okay.
it's interesting enough, and I like the character dynamics that they're building up. I would also say that like as time goes by, I want to start watching more Japanese and Korean shows anyway. Like
Mhm.
obviously we watch a ton of anime, but you know, it's always good to consume another culture's media. And I would say that even though I'm not a huge fan of the dubs that Netflix does, like I was in a situation where I had to watch a lot of it on my phone.
Okay.
And it was good that I had a dub so I could actively know what was happening, because reading subtitles on a cell phone screen is torture.
Well, good to know. Good to know it has a good dub. And great for voice actors now. To be a voice actor must just be the California gold rush, because there's so much media on Netflix that has to be dubbed over.
Dude, yeah, we should start getting into it. I think
Mhm.
at least I know for myself, I think my voice is good enough to be a voice actor's. I got that sweet, sweet dulcet tone,
Ooh,
baby.
you know, let's play around a little bit. Let's do the quintessential Japanese characters, and can you do the dubbing of each one?
Oh, you know it.
All right, can you please do the recluse nerd turn hero? Like, do like maybe a short few lines or a monologue, if you will. Thank you so much.
Well, first, we have to get into the room because, you know, there's like 6 or 7 different doors. But you know what? Hold on. Give me a second. Let's go back. Okay, no, hold on. This is what it is. I swear. Let's go through the door.
Love it. Love it. I love the urgency
Thank
at
you.
the end there. Can I now hear the gangster friend who is the sexy guy but has a heart of gold? That's what it is. It's sexy guy,
Yeah.
hardcore, heart of gold.
I mean, I'm just so filled with rage, but I love everyone. I don't know how to express it unless I hit things and or yell. By the way, I love cats.
Can I hear the yell when he confronts his best friend, someone who's a hard time showing emotions but finally does?
Tetsuo!
Nailed it. Thank you so much. We'll be calling you. Believe me, we'll be calling you.
Thank you. But But yeah, no, yeah, the archetypes are fun. I'm interested to see where it goes. But yeah, thanks for recommending Alice in Borderland. And I do have to say, as I was obviously Netflix is recommending more of these to me now, because you watch one and then Netflix is like, oh, you want to watch this?
Oh, here we go.
Are all these other suggestions. Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, I didn't realize how big Netflix's library was for like
the J dramas, the K dramas are ridiculous. But then
it is pretty nuts.
It does lead me to kind of but like I'm weary though, so I really enjoyed Alice in Borderland. But the greater horror drama, J drama, K drama, I'm not sure I'm in love with though. You know, I like the psychological thriller. I don't like the monster environment, so to speak. Like your
which brings us to our next suggestion. It's like Warren's done this podcast before and knows how to segue into another segment.
You don't say. I was just rambling. If it seemed to lead us someplace, that's just wonderful.
These were just the random thoughts of a genius. I didn't know that I was going to be so profound.
Scarf throw?
Yeah. Excuse me, sir. I'm just passing through. I thought you might want to talk about the monster Korean horror subgenre. Just, your run-of-the-mill type conversation here, sir. Maybe we could speak of something in that milieu. Well, as Warren so aptly transitioned into, we will be. My suggestion for Warren was something that I hadn't seen yet, but was very interested in watching, and that was Sweet Home, yet another Netflix show that is produced in Korea. As opposed to Alice in Borderland, which is all Japanese, this is all Korean. Two completely separate production companies. And for those of you who are kind of interested in what it is a apartment building in what I've only seen episode 1 as well, but it seems like Korea is going through this weird development sort of thing. Like everything looks broken down and everything's covered in weeds and overgrowth, and they don't give you like a real explanation as to like what's happened to the town.
Right.
You just meet the main character, which is also this very good looking, like legitimate, like he looks like he's from BTS.
Yes, he's a model. He's
but he's also a tortured soul who can only express himself through video games and being a recluse. Once again, character archetypes in Asian cinema, not the best.
No. But you need a relatable hero. You play to your audience,
Yeah, absolutely. They really know how to pigeonhole themselves.
Well, the writer's like, what do I want? What do I want to write about? Well, I can't stop playing video games, and I really wish my next door neighbor would go out with me. I'll write about that.
Said every apparent Korean and Japanese writer of all time. Okay, so he's a recluse. He moves into this brand new building that is like super run down, kind of like creepy. And then as the episode progresses, people start getting these nosebleeds. And then from there, it's just straight fucking monster fest. Like there's no...
Yeah, they're out of nowhere. They just show the hell up. Hi.
There's no
killer
preamble.
Monsters.
Yeah. It's literally, it starts off as like a dude who's going to be... He's about to kill himself. And it's like, oh, okay, so maybe that's what the story is about.
Right.
And then he meets
inner monsters, maybe, but then...
Yeah, like inner demons, of course. And then he meets this stupidly hot ballerina girl on the fucking roof.
Yeah.
Who you're just like, marry me. Holy fuck. Where the fuck have you been my entire life? And then they introduce this bass player who is also the hottest woman I've ever seen.
The coolest
ever.
chick. Oh my God.
It's just... Both of all these shows, though, it's just like, please stop. I don't have enough room in my heart.
But it's also just all these beta males who just don't want to talk to them. And they're like aggressively like, hey, I'm a ballerina girl who wants to smoke a cigarette with you and talk to you. And then they're just like, I can't do it. I have to go.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Actually, yeah, the conversation between them is him saying no 4 times and then
Yeah. I came in my pants. I have to go.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
No.
And then
not again. Not again. Oh God.
And then we meet ballerina girl. I assume it's her brother, who is also shockingly attractive. Like,
yes.
Oh man, the East
like
really,
baby
the East
seal
really lean.
level of skin. He's a hardworking guy.
Absolutely.
He takes care of his sister, works and goes to school. Yeah.
It's great to see that the East really leaned into the chauvinism and appearance culture of the West. That's really, I love that's what they took from us.
Yeah, they're like, this deep philosophical side that we've been pushing really blows. We need to get laid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then it takes a hard right turn into Monster Town.
In a hard right turn because you would think they'd be kind of shadowed, or you think it's just going to be a quick shot of them, but they throw the full CG force of the monsters in front of you, and it kind of pulled me out of it. I was like, this is too much, and this doesn't look necessarily good. This looks little to a lot rough.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with a lot of that because this is episode 1. Like,
yes.
don't fuck me immediately. Let's have a little bit of foreplay. Like, good God. And 2, yeah, the CG, I'm gonna say, is good for a TV show,
right?
But not good.
It's not good, and it's a shame too because up till then, all the budget seemed to be in all the right places. The set looked great. The actors are obviously great. The lighting is great. It really sets the tone really well.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It's like an indie movie level of care. It almost felt like Parasite. Just this true. Every incident really mattered. Everything was cared about. But then they throw in these cheap CG monsters. I was like, wait. Your budget should be on the monsters then. Fuck this building. Like, what is happening? Fuck the landscape sky that you spent money on when you could just cheaply throw that up there. Why does this monster look like out of a PS2 video game? What are we doing here?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, yeah, the set is gorgeous. The lighting is this really, the building feels gross. Everything about the building just feels like dank and oppressive and awful. And then you see the monsters and you're like, I didn't realize you could put Resident Evil characters from the PS1 game into a show.
Yeah, it was a thing of like, who wanted this? Who wanted?
Yeah, little did I know.
Yeah. Also, the rules make no sense to me in the first. So the first episode, it really forces you to watch the second episode because essentially one of the neighbors turns out to be a monster, but then runs away at the sight of the Korean gangster. So it's like, what are the rules in this building? Do they know that monsters exist? Is this guy himself a monster? Is no one freaked out that there's blood all over the floor right now? Like, what is happening?
Yeah. Also, guys, if you're worried that there wasn't going to be a gangster in this film that was stoic and smoking a cigarette, don't worry, it's got you covered.
And he's dumb hot. He's got a terrible burn scar on his face, but it only makes him sexier. It's just like, this guy is just like so aggravating. It's just have a little bit more personality and just like, well, ugh.
Yeah. I will say this, especially seeing as I watched these back to back today, and one's from Korea, one's from Japan. I have to say, I do think that the acting in the Korean one is much better. I think that there is a certain level of like subtlety, and like the scene between the bassist girl and the guy who is like going to church.
Yes.
Like that scene is really well done. It's super subtle. It's got a lot of like nuance.
Yes.
If that was in Alice in Borderland, like the Bible would have exploded and they would have yelled at each other for no reason.
Pinned her against the wall. Why don't you believe in God?
Yeah.
I'm an acolyte.
What do you know about Jesus?
I would totally agree with you on that. Even the scene before that, when the bassist meets this mother, she has a baby carriage and she's like doting of her loving child. To eventually the bassist gets lower and the camera follows her to reveal that there is no child in the baby carriage. It's just the woman who's lost her mind. And she has to play it off like very natural, like, oh, I'm not shocked by that. I'm freaked out, but I don't want to show it to you to alert you of that. Was a very strong performance. It was very believable and really, really lived in.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing is the show about monsters living in an apartment building, much more grounded.
Until the monsters show up in the apartment building.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all right, so the reason why I'm over this Korean monster survival subgenre is I think it's also akin to Walking Dead. Is I'm tired of the bureaucracy scenes about how they're going to survive the monster survival genre. And I just don't want to spend 20 minutes of being like, do we have food? Where can we go? Do you live there? I'm going to live there. You live there. No. I can't live there now. You have to live here with me and the one that you hate. Okay, deal. Wait a minute. I don't know this new person. Do you know this new person? Let's vote on whether we know this new person. Oh, I've known this person the entire time. It's like, I don't care. Someone has to do something now.
Yeah, we need murder and or mayhem and or fucking. Like, these are the things that I need out of these scenes. And if they don't achieve those things, it's just not doing it for me. I agree with that. Yeah, like, I think, like, all of those tropes were amazing, like, in the early zombie films and stuff like that.
Definitely.
Like, yeah, of course that works. Like, if we've never seen this before, yeah, how would you survive this attack? But now that we've been inundated with these for years and years and years, yeah, you got to have some fresh water. People got to have food. You got to barricade the door. At the end of the day, all of that can happen off screen. Like, we'll believe that they took the necessary steps to protect themselves.
Yes, because like you, I, and our grandmother has now had what would you do in a zombie apocalypse conversation now. So everyone's mind has already gripped the fact of, if this is a reality, how do we survive now? So the show doesn't need to hold our hand and be like, oh my God, it happened. So what do we do? It's like, no, I know exactly what I would do. Let's just...
Yeah, stop it.
Let's implement what that plan would be and if it would work. It's like plugging algorithms into the equation, the zombie equation. Does my aggressive plan of going to get guns work? Or does my state's recluse plan work? Show me those stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first things first, find Ballerina Girl. See if she's DTF. World's ending.
I'm finding
Let's try and make that happen.
I'm finding Basis Girl because she's going to be way more chill. Ballerina chick has this like snooty attitude, and she's obviously has like daddy issues where she wants to be with the gangster guy, whereas the Basis chick probably doesn't want to screw me, but wants to hang out and can play some great music.
You know what? That's probably the better way to look at it and the more healthy option. On the other hand, the world is literally ending and PS1 graphic monsters are attacking the building. And I'm going to try and shoot my shot.
And spoiler alert, you'll find this out in episode 2. They're invincible.
Well, I mean, they fucking look it.
Yeah.
They don't look like they've got a lot of weaknesses.
Yes, they have no rules. You chop their head off, they still live. You kill them, they still live.
That's disappointing to hear because the horror genre, and I'm sure you're finding this out more as you watch more and more horror films.
Yes.
Horror only works when it's got clearly defined rules.
Yes.
That's the only way a horror film can truly transcend is when it's got a clearly defined thing that can happen or can't happen.
Yes, agreed. There has to be a cause and effect, and there has to be some sense of survival. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yeah. All right, the question boils down to, are you going to continue to watch it, or are you done after episode 1?
I'm going to continue to watch both of these. I actually wasn't as turned off by Sweet Home as you were. I'm actually kind of interested. And I'm also like, I think that the acting in Sweet Home is better than the acting in Alice in Borderland.
Yes.
So I'm actively more interested in seeing Korea pull that off. And now, especially after Parasite and the Two Sister Story, Train to Busan, and The Wailing, I'm like really into Korean cinema right now. So
awesome.
Like experiencing more Korean cinema is kind of what I want, because I've already kind of done my Japanese cinema phase, and obviously it's always growing, but I've done my Akira Kurosawa's and I've done my Takashi Miike's. Like I want to start experiencing what Korea has to offer.
Well, I will not be continuing to watch it, so please give me all the spoilers as you begin to watch it. It kind of has a Tokyo Ghoul like feel to it,
For sure. Yeah.
and not as a knock to it, but as in maybe that's how they'll battle the monsters. But yeah, I'll let you tell me what happens.
Yeah, I'll keep you abreast of what happens in Sweet Home.
I cannot wait.
I'll let you know if that ballerina chick ever gets naked. I'll keep you informed on that.
All right.
And if bassist
I mean, on a quick
ever
note,
finds
if
love.
you're looking for naked Asian chicks in a TV show, you need to watch Warrior on HBO Max right now. That has so many naked Asian chicks because it talks about San Francisco in the it's like 1869. So the Exclusion Act hasn't been passed yet, but senators are trying to pass it. So it's all about Chinese tongs battling each other and survival for jobs in San Francisco. And one of the main locations is a Chinese whorehouse or a brothel.
Oh my God. I didn't even know this was a show.
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's really fun. So it's based on Bruce Lee's writings, and the EP is Shannon Lee. So it has so much Bruce Lee love and care to it, and it's fun for the action sequences. It's a Cinemax show that is now on HBO Max, and as you can expect, it's very Spartacus acting. It's very caricature based, but it's super fun. It's a predominantly Asian cast, and it kicks ass. It's fun. It's super fun. You know, if you go into it, just wanting to watch a good old Bruce Lee TV show, you're gonna get it.
I mean, I'm definitely down. Is that your suggestion for me this week?
I think it has to be now. I had another one planned up, but honestly, like, it's only 2 seasons long. It's 10 episodes per season. It's on HBO Max. It's a fucking blast. Check it out.
Okay, yeah, no, I didn't even know that this show existed. So yeah, absolutely. Speaking of caricatures. Speaking of caricatures of Bruce Lee.
Yes. Oh my God.
Me and Warren had been thinking about ways to incorporate kind of new stuff onto the podcast. And for a really long time, we'd been wanting to do Kung Fu films. Mm-hmm. There's this amazing YouTube channel called the Wu-Tang Collection. And it's thousands and thousands of old Chinese, Taiwanese, Japanese films that are basically impossible to find anywhere else.
Yes.
Like, honestly, some of these movies are out of production. You'll never find them on DVD. The only way that you would find them is through this amazing YouTube channel that's compiled them and gathered them all together. Mm-hmm. And so what we're going to do from now on with like mixing, yeah, but is it good? And this, and maybe some other stuff we incorporate, we're just going to randomly generate a movie from the collection.
Yes.
And we have to watch it. And our first generation was this unbelievable film called Ninja Kids. But it's actually not called Ninja Kids because it has a completely different name, which is, I believe, Ninja Death Part 1. It's part of a trilogy series.
Oh my God.
Called the Ninja Death series.
That is so interesting. It's a trilogy that moves. The first movie moves so quickly, it could be a trilogy and one movie.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's originally called Ninja Death Part 1. Wow. It was made in 1987, although it looks like it was made in 1962.
87.
Wow. And it has a pretty well-known Taiwanese Taekwondo master who plays the lead, and his name is Alexander Liu Ri. And he was in a ton of these movies. Funnily enough, Taiwanese guy, most of his movies are about ninjas. He later went on to become a film director in Taiwanese cinema. And many people would think that this movie is, Hong Kong cinema. It's not. It's from Taiwan.
Okay.
And well, now that I've done that, Warren, why don't you give a touch of the plot if you can?
Okay. So the movie opens on everyone fighting everyone to a big red backdrop. So introduces the characters without introducing them for a very long fight scene to a point where you're like, did the movie already start or is this still the intro? It's like this big. It's like they started with the Obi-Wan Darth Vader fight, and you're like, wait, am I supposed to be seeing this already? And then it cuts to the lead character. Quick reminder of his name.
Alexander Liu Ri.
His character's name.
Oh, Tiger.
It cuts to Tiger being the bouncer at a brothel where he is going on a monologue of the 3 different men he will not allow into the brothel. And essentially...
And I have to pause you for a second, Warren, because the dub on this is perfection.
It's something else.
I have never laughed harder at an English dub of a kung fu movie.
Yeah.
It is so over the top bad that it's good.
It truly is.
Well,
it's almost like they watched the movie all in Chinese, and they were like, "Okay, what do you think the plot is? All right, just guess what it is through your lines, and don't worry. Anytime they smile, make sure to let out a chuckle because I know they are on their end. So you hear a all the time. It's like they're just smiling.
I would say that those are as frequent as him saying "teacher."
Yeah. They do this great thing with the shot where, so like obviously every movie does this. As you're telling a story, you'll cut the movie as the story's progressing, but obviously the time will span during those cuts. But they'll do it in a way where they're having a face-to-face conversation, and the next shot will be an over the shoulder, and someone will be in the foreground as they're talking, and then they'll walk up slowly behind them, almost like time hasn't passed. They just happen to walk around and then walk up closer to them to hear the story more. It's just filmed hilariously.
Okay, well, keep going with what the structure of the story is.
Okay, so the story is a bouncer who essentially can kick ass and has a teacher that is a town drunk, or not. He's a hermit, and then Japan comes in, and the ninjas start kicking ass, and they're looking for a certain prince with these peach flower on his chest. Little to find out that the very bouncer that we've been following is this lost prince. And
shocking twist.
Yeah. And then
didn't see it coming at all.
They now must fight the Japanese ninja horde off. I kind of stopped watching. There's a certain scene where the lead character sexually harasses an incoming ninja woman for a very long and uncomfortable amount of time. So a ninja goes to attack him in his sleep, of which he decides to pull this undisclosed ninja and start kissing the ninja right away. And it happens to be a woman. And she's saying, no, stop, no, stop. And he continues to try to kiss her and hold her to the ground for, I want to say, like a minute.
Oh, yeah. It's more than enough time for you to be like, wow. Yeah. Please stop. Yeah. Please. When is this going to stop? How much longer? We're still rolling? Please, Please stop.
And then it cuts out of it and is never talked about again, like any sexual harassment. Yeah.
Because there apparently wasn't in the 80s. Yeah. Once again, guys, I can't state how much this movie looks like it's from the 60s, though. Mm-hmm. Like when I read it was 1987, my mind was blown. I was like, Did they get a time machine and go back?
To put things in perspective, in that same year, Jackie Chan's Project A2 came out, which is a masterpiece in martial arts movies. So the fact it's from 87 makes no sense at all.
I do have to say, so yeah, that's the basic plot. He's this lost child of this priest who's like also blah, blah, blah. The plot doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. They're looking for these peach tattoos on him. He is the chosen one, essentially. He fights arguably the best bad guy in all of Hong Kong cinema, potentially. That golden...
demon-faced monster.
Yeah. That golden getup and the retractable maces. Oh my fucking God. So fucking good. I have to say the first 30 minutes of the movie are much better than the last, but I actually think the action in this is not bad.
No, it's good. Like, yeah, it's
definitely solid. There's actually there's quite a good bit of choreography in this.
Yep.
Some like real solid hits. My favorite scene out of all of them is when they lure him into the whorehouse by saying like he can't get his dick up, and he's like, "I'll show you." And then there is a guy who has very long hair.
You're just combing it.
But the man himself has very long hair.
Yeah.
But then he takes off a wig that is long hair, and he's shot.
It's also the camera perspective you'll often do is you'll see the back of just the long hair, so you as a viewer also suppose it's a woman to reveal it's a man.
Yeah,
but
not this time. No. The camera's right on his man face as he's combing what looks like a bad wig because he's already got long hair. You don't understand why his hair looks weird, and then he takes off this wig.
Yeah.
And then they have some very saucy dialogue about him being gay.
Yes, and not wanting to sleep with him. Yeah.
Yeah, and not wanting to sleep with him. Then a pretty damn good fight ensues, actually. That fight is pretty good. And then, I mean, there's just I was laughing my ass off for the whole movie. Like, I can't recommend it. Yeah, for the sexual assault stuff, that's pretty fucking troubling.
But then on top of it too, they've also intertwined a lost brother turned evil storyline too. The master's brother is this hulking karate monster with his demon mask who just goes around going "Roar!" in a very comically like this motion, like just kind of like teeter-tottering.
Oh my god, yeah,
in the background a lot of the time.
Not only that, the only way that you can activate him is with a beautiful flute solo.
But they use like computerized flute music, so it doesn't even sound like beautiful melodic flute. It sounds like kind of scratching metal the entire time, which you as a viewer is kind of like, oh, I get why he's mad. It sounds terrible.
Well, yeah, not only that, but his master is apparently his uncle, because his dad is the one who's the red demon guy. And that's never really brought up. Not only that, this movie also has, I shit you not, a quartet of disabled fighters. We have a blind guy who the prosthetic makeup for that was to put pepperonis on his eyes. We have a hunchback who is wearing a pillow. Phenomenal makeup on that one. We have a deaf guy who seems perfectly fine. Really, nothing wrong with him there. He just can't hear. Shouldn't really affect him in fighting in any way. And then the fourth one, I think, is just poor, which is a disability in and of itself.
I love the blind guy where it's just craft services were like, we ran out of the makeup. What do we have? Just those pepperonis on his eyeballs.
Yeah. Throw some pepperonis on his eyes. It's fine. Not only that, they show his eyes getting plucked out in the movie.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, they don't do any damage to his lids. And yet, for some reason, it looks like he got two fucking like giant cigars just burned onto his eyelid. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
The sign of a true master is to pluck just the eyeball out and leave the lids intact.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, I can't say that I didn't have a great time watching this. I was laughing my ass off the entire time.
Yes.
I think Alexander Lou Reed does a really good job as like a Kirkland version of Bruce Lee.
Yes.
Like
his fit is a great fashion style. He has a white newsy cap with a short sleeve white tunic, small tight black suspenders, and like loose fitting black kung fu pants with the kung fu shoes, and it was a good look, man.
Yeah,
I thought it was fucking cool.
I'll admit the drip was on lock.
Yes, it was.
Like,
yes, it was.
That golden gi.
Ooh.
Fucking, you could take that shit into Tokyo right now.
Oh, yes, you could. And they tucked in the
styling.
curls in the right way, so it's enough poof to accentuate the shoulders, but not so much where it was operatic and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Is that what we're
I
about
would
to make
actually
this
say
series about? Is it all about the drip more so than anything else?
Yeah.
Because this shit had a lot of drip then.
I have to admit, this Kung Fu movie had a shitload of drip in it. I'm going to give it 5 water drops out of 5. No, I'm going to give it 4 water drops out of 5.
I'll agree with that. No question. I agree with the drip. I think the style I might try to copy next episode. I'll show up in a white newsy cap.
Dude, I would love to see you in the white getup. Like, you should do that for Halloween, and everybody be like, "Why is that a costume?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "It is if you know Ninja Kids."
The one guy in the back will be like, hello, new best friend.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's called Ninja Death Part 1. Actually, guy, yeah, could you tell me a little bit more about Ninja Kids?
Well, actually, it's called Ninja Death Part 1. And I would actually like to take a moment to talk about the Korean Monster of the Week survival subgenre. And to say that I'm very displeased with the amount of bureaucracy that's talked about. Because essentially, the real issue of sanitation is never discussed. Where does the waste go if you cannot flush the toilet? Because essentially, that's the number one killer. It's not the monsters. It's your poo-poo.
Thank you, actually, guy. Well reasoned. Truly hit the nail on the head. So yeah, I'm totally gonna recommend for anybody who's into kung fu movies and stuff like that, Ninja Kids or Ninja Death Part 1.
Yes.
It's fucking great. I had an amazing time watching it, and it's free. You don't even have to rent it. It's on fucking YouTube. So
yeah, what's the collection called? Go to the YouTube.
It's the Wu-Tang Collection.
Go to the Wu-Tang Collection. All of our movies we'll be talking about are on there.
And yeah, we give it 5 water drops out of 5 for the drip.
4.
Yeah, sorry, 4 water drips.
Yes.
I mean, 5 has got to be real special, but I mean, 4 is up there. I mean,
well, real
there was some
quickly,
banging fashion in
what
this.
would be a 5? I would say that like Game of Death. The Game of Death fight scenes are a 5 out of 5 drip with Bruce Lee in his jumpsuit and each person with their subsequent style.
The orange tracksuit is so iconic now. Well, it's yellow, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's, in some versions, the color grading is off.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
It could be green for all we know, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, that tracksuit. I mean, the thing is, like, Bruce in and of itself is so iconic. So he looks good in anything. I mean, the man wore a suit like nobody's business. Like, he even pulled off that Kato costume.
Oh
like,
my god.
Ugh.
Like no one's business. And in his real life too, he always had just the best look. I would say that Jackie Chan's all right, let me look up what it is. I think it's Meals on Wheels. That has a 5 out of 5 drip for me. That's when they have a food cart in maybe Greece or Italy, and it is fantastic.
It's driptastic. It's got all that drip. For our listeners who may be older or white, drip means really good fashion sense. Very desirable clothing. Like
it's dripping off this, it's exuding such an intense fashion look to it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that is it for this week. Warren, you've recommended, what was it again? One more time, and it was Warrior.
It's
I believe,
Warriors
on HBO Max.
On HBO Max, run by the Bruce Lee family. Shannon Lee's EP of it. There are some surprisingly just stellar talent out of the show. There's also some less than desired talent in it, but the action is A+.
Fantastic. So remind me, because Ip Man is about Bruce Lee's teacher, correct?
Yes.
That is the person who trained Bruce Lee.
Warriors.
But it's older, of course.
Yes. Warriors has nothing to do with Bruce Lee's lineage or anything like that. It's more like he was writing down a show that he wanted to create about San Francisco, the struggle of Chinese immigrants with American citizens, essentially the Irish versus the Chinese, and about that culture clash, and then the Chinese tongs, the gangs trying to have supremacy of dealing opium and having their brothels.
This sounds so fucking interesting. I am all about this. So that is Warren's suggestion for me next week. My suggestion for you, Warren, it kind of goes back to the top of the show. Have you ever heard of a podcast called Behind the Bastards?
I have not. Let me write that down. Behind the Bastards.
So Robert Evans is this amazing journalist who I used to follow all the time on cracked.com when that was like a actual good website. And he has spent basically his entire life chronicling and researching awful people.
Oh.
And then telling you about them in a very funny but informative way.
Love it.
And this podcast called Behind the Bastards, it's been on for years now, is now devoting a bunch of new episodes to like what just happened in DC.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole show itself has gone. It's talked about Zuckerberg. It's talked about Xi Jinping. It's talked about every bad person you've ever heard about in history, and a bunch of that you've never heard about in history, like their histories. And it gives you this like better understanding of the world. And I am a huge fan of this show. And now that they're doing like content that's specifically related to the riots that have happened in DC, I think it's a very important show. He also did another podcast called It Could Happen Here, which chronicled what would happen if America went into a civil war from his experience reporting on civil wars in other countries. So those are the two I would recommend. I would say start with Behind the Bastards first, and if you kind of like his narrative style, I think It Could Happen Here is an amazing podcast.
Well, I can't wait. That sounds extremely informative, and I am excited to learn a lot of things about people I really hate.
Yeah, I will say this. It doesn't sound like fun at first, but the podcasts are really good. You wouldn't think that learning about evil people would be as entertaining as it is. And then for what do we want to do for next week? Do we want to do Yeah, but is it good? Or do we want to do more Kung Fu?
Well, I don't have a Yeah, but is it good ready per se off the top of my head. But I do have the Wu-Tang collection up in front of me, and we could do a quick number generator and see what we're watching next time.
Then yeah, let's keep on this Wu-Tang train, bruh. Wu-Tang ain't got nothing to fuck with. All right, so what number am I generating from?
I think you're doing 1 to 100. I mean, they have so many. You could even do 1 to 200, it looks like, or even further.
All right, All right, I'm gonna just do 1 to 200, and we are watching 182.
182, great. Quickly, gonna just do.
Well, Warren figures that out because it's not like YouTube is numbered in any way. Maybe we should figure out a better way to do this. But you know what? I can vamp totally fine. I was actually going to say I do have something for us to watch. Yeah, but is it good? But after watching Ninja Kids, I'm like all on this fucking Wu-Tang train. Like I just want it. Inject it directly into my veins.
Totally. All right, we're watching the movie Damager. That's all it's called. Damager. Damager.
Damager. Does it have a description?
Let's see what Damager has as a description. Okay, so it has in the cast, directed by Sun Chang-yuan. The cast is Chang Ming and Sui Po Yue, Cho Kin, and Sun Yue. And its kung fu combined with acupuncture is used with great effect to defeat Japanese invaders in an eastern town in China. Action-packed golden oldie.
All right, I'm
go.
fucking on board. Please put that in the chat. So I've already forgotten how it was spelled.
Damager.
Damager. Doesn't really roll off the tongue.
No, that looks like Cartman would say, Damager.
No, it sounds like something that you put in food to make it last longer.
Yeah. In a Damager.
It's like, oh, yeah, xanthan gum. Oh, Damager? God damn, that stuff's so bad for you.
I think I've had enough Damager this week. I have to pass.
Yeah, Damager makes me so fucking constipated. Yeah, Jesus. I've haven't taken a shit in 3 days because of that fucking Domager.
Perfect.
Oh, well, that is it for another episode of fucking Pop Culture Party, people. Warren, is there anything you'd like to plug before we head out for the night?
Please check out my Twitch page at Show Me the Chaos. Check out my YouTube page at Show Me the Chaos. And check out my Instagram at Ward Chow. Thanks so much.
You can find me at Unlimited Free Time on YouTube, and you can find me at All the Birds and on Twitter and Instagram. You can find this here very podcast at the PCP Podcast on Twitter and Instagram as well. Until next time, guys, just remember, we're the Pop Culture Party people. We put the cult
in pop culture.
In pop culture.
Bye.
We love you.
Mwah.
Bye. Bye.